Have you got some stories that you've changed someone's life by going to auction? No.
I can give you. What do you want to know? Do you want a personal, or do you want a property that's gone crazy, that's totally unique, and do you want?
Well, both. I want to know how taking a property to auction has changed someone's life.
We sold one with a 1 point start bid up in Yorkshire, and it was a property someone had inherited. They didn't even know they had it, and they got a call to say, "Here's a property," and put it in an auction. I think they got 60,000 quid off their hands, cash in the bank, totally relaxed. I've got one's always a good story. Is a beach hut up in Northumberland. Had a guide price of 50, reserve of 55, sold for 170.
Wow.
It's on a sand dune. It was built in the 50s. It's effectively two B&Q sheds put together with no electricity, no running water, but someone wanted it that badly that they fought and fought and fought. Turns out the actual buyer holidayed there as a kid. So
In that actual hut? Or close to it?
TBC's but one of them, yeah. 170 grand, right? So it's on a sand dune. It's leasehold. It's a crappy old timber frame. Probably fall apart within 2 seasons. No electricity, no running water, but someone was willing to pay 3 times the guide to secure the property.
Do they often sell private treaty there then?
Pre-auction, you mean?
Yeah.
About a third of the stuff we'll sell before it closes in an online auction or in a room.
What other stories have you had?
What do you want?
Anything that's interesting? What about agents? We've changed their life.
What do you think we are?
I've got to come up with a story.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have agents that will do 20% of their revenue with us, but it's not exactly changing their life, is it?
Yeah, but it's the difference between probably hitting target and not hitting target.
Yeah, as business owners, introducing a product and really bedding it in, and being 20% of revenue, 20% of instructions, 20% of stock on the market is kind of the maximum.
That's life-changing stuff to an agent. That's make or break or close the doors.
Well, the speed of cash is probably one of the most critical things that's important for an agent at the moment. We're paying agents if they're in our gold channel on or before the 14th of the month for anything they do. So if they're doing 5-6 sales in a month and that money's landing 2 weeks into the month without having to be chased, that's quite a significant benefit to the long tail of the estate agency, which is it can be hand to mouth sometimes.
Why do you think some estate agents, especially valuers, don't get auctions?
Knowledge. I mean, there's so many factors to it. Knowledge and their own confidence.
Okay.
That they're consistent with it. That they understand that some clients don't just want what the status quo is, private treaty. Some people want a little bit more than what is on offer with the status quo. 9 times out of 10 it comes down to their circumstances, a driving factor as to why they want to sell.
Do you think that just the valuers just want to get the listing and don't want to put any barriers in the way?
Path of least
Or is it
resistance.
fear?
The path of least resistance, a combination of fear and a combination of confidence and knowledge. You don't want to be in the front room in a competitive environment, bumbling your way through a sales strategy. You want to come across confident and knowledgeable, and that person to buy into. It's people. This business is people. You want them to buy into you as a person. And if you are a bit unsure of how to get the key points across, then in many instances you'll hide away. But there's 2 facets to it then, because if you look at what the vendor's reaction might be if I suggest auction, they know auction now is 9 times out of 10 homes under the hammer, and it's a TV show that is there to make it appear that auction is set up for buyers. You don't hear the story that says this is our vendor. They got £60,000 above reserve and completed the transaction 4 weeks later, and walked off into the distance. What you get is a buyer being interviewed saying that they picked it up for a price they're really happy with, that they've managed to refurb it in 3 days and they've got it back on the market and they've made 60 grand. That's the theme of the story. The reality of it is they're only looking at one side of it, and in isolated incidents. So, again, that auction word for a vendor, sometimes they get a bit nervous.
Do you think you, as an auction industry, and there are others...
There are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And not getting your story across well enough
to
the industry?
So we've been trading for 10 years, marketing ourselves marketing to the consumer and trying to create some form of social proofing.
Who do you call a consumer?
A consumer is Joe Public, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. Our partners, our client is the estate agent, so we provide the service to them. We give them the tools to offer it. But there's so many challenges as an industry, whether we need to get together to try. Ultimately, the end goal for me is that every estate agent in the country offers auction as a service, whether it's through us or one of the other competitors out there in the marketplace, of which there are a few, and of which there are a few who are pretty good. The consumer should be given that choice. Estate Agency Act tells them they should give the consumer that choice, but that's the end goal for us.
Do you think that's your responsibility as an industry to? Is it? I mean, let's be honest. You only have a limited amount of money. Is it your job to educate the public or educate agents?
I think, unless you're going to put, 7-figure TV advertising campaigns on for a year every year, then I don't think it's something that you want to be looking at doing. But I think for me, the key is the agent. If you educate the agent, they in turn will educate the consumer, because I think ultimately they need to be the one that advises the correct strategy on that particular property, on that particular day, taking into consideration market conditions and everything that the vendor's told them. It's up to the agent to do that and to do it with confidence. And that's what we want to do. We want to help them. And it is challenging. People think auctions like black magic or voodoo. It's a very straightforward process. You just got to be clear, transparent, consistent. There's so many benefits that we offer, which I'll not bore you with, because I know you threatened me with that.
I think your marketing is atrocious.
Thanks. That's the one for you. Michelle, our head of marketing, will love to hear that. No, I mean, to be fair, as a business, I'm sold. We always shied away from marketing ourselves.
I'm not talking about I am sold.
Okay. You're talking industry-wide?
I'm talking about the auction industry.
I thought you were having a dig at me there.
Oh, well, of course. Let's all be frank. There's only a handful of big players, and you're one of the big players.
Yeah. I think messaging has, so we used to bang on 0%, sell your house for free, That's totally not the message that we provide our partners or ask our partners to push. It's about speed, it's about security, it's about maximising value on properties that are rare to come to market or that are going to be subject to significant interest, and having the confidence to offer that to the client, because it's about choice. We talked this morning about choice. For me, there's been a lot of change in the industry recently with the rise of the onlines and the hybrids, and what that has done is shown the consumer that there's choice out there. So the agent that survives and thrives is the one that gives their consumer the most choice, because they've got the most way to engage, win, retain, secure business. They're here to make money, they're here to sell houses, but they've got to put the client first. And if you're just a one-trick pony doing one thing, and you're doing it very well, all said and done, but ultimately there is an argument that you may be missing out.
I've got an issue, full stop, with most suppliers' marketing, in the fact that you try and tell people what you do or what your product does, when in reality you should actually be telling people how it makes them feel.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. What
do you know what I do?
Say? It's the story, not the product you sell, the story you tell. Yeah, so that's my.
Do you know,
Michelle, you can take credit for that. My new head of marketing has been discussing this at length. Do
you know what I would do if I was you? Do you mind giving you some advice?
I don't think I have a choice.
No, you don't. but the advice I'm going to give you is the same advice that basically every supplier should do. Although I can tell you here and now, you're going to say, well, surely if you're giving me this advice, my competitors are going to see it, aren't they? No one's going to do anything with it, so I won't worry too much. Do you know what I would do? I would. So you've got two sets of customers, haven't you? You've got your vendors selling the houses,
yeah,
and you have the estate agents.
Yeah.
What was the S word that you mentioned to me a few minutes ago, a number of times?
Survive?
No.
Speed?
So liquor word.
Speed?
No.
Security?
No.
Jesus. Help me out.
Begins with the letter S and ends with the word Y. And it's got the letters T, O and R in it.
T, O and R. Sort me out here.
Story.
I'm dyslexic.
All
Pick
right,
it on me.
All right then.
Story.
Story.
So go on then.
You need to tell the story to an estate agent is a different story to
The consumer.
to the consumer.
Very much so.
Okay. Now we are living in a world where we will actually base our decisions on the TripAdvisor world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you make you feel.
And the best person to tell a story is someone who's like you. Yeah.
Okay.
So why don't you interview vendors who've been through the process?
Yeah, it's interesting. Makes it personal, makes it real, makes them
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah, interview them on the style. It's called. It's really now. The important thing is, Jamie, is that you cannot do testimonial videos because no one watches them anymore. But what you can do is what we call heroes' journeys.
It's interesting.
Now, with regard to vendors, there's got to be 2 or 3 big perceived negative points to auction.
You're not going to get the best price.
Yep.
Number one.
Yep.
It probably stops there.
Right. Okay. So what you have to do is the hero's journey story is because we as human beings love stories. Is why don't because I've been doing this for a few years and it takes a while to perfect them. But if anyone wants me to send you some examples, I'll send them. Email me and I'll send it to you. Is you have to do it in a 3-stage process because all stories have 3 steps in them. Mm-hmm. Generally, there's different variations.
The beginning, the middle, and the end.
Yeah, it is.
Hey,
Okay.
got one right.
Yeah. Well done, mate. So the beginning is getting them to talk about them owning the property before they needed to sell it, and getting them to explain in emotional terms what the property meant to them. Why they bought it, what they did to it since, the stories of having the family around, all that malarkey.
Yeah.
We then move on to the middle section, which is the middle bit of the story. Now, in all decent stories, if you watched any film like Star Wars and it was just all good from start to the end and there was no battle in the middle, would it be a good story?
Probably not.
No. See, every story does
Something
need
that's what
a
it
challenge. It need, like a question and going into battle, that sort of thing. Now, when we're going into battle, these are all emotional times. What people tend to do is that the emotion goes through the roof, and there's fear, there's frustration, there's a problem that needs solving. So the problem is, so they've expressed this emotion about owning a home, and now they need to move, because again, our job is not to sell houses. Our job is to move from one chapter of our lives to another chapter of our lives, and that's the job of estate agents. And for whatever reason, they needed it quickly, securely, a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
And they needed to sell. So they, if you really want to add insult to injury, they went on the market with Agent A, who promised them the world, and let them down big time.
Doesn't happen, does it?
Oh God, happens all the time. You've got to remember, only 40% of properties sell with the first agent.
Yeah. So that's an interesting point. That's one of the things that I always talk to agents about when we're training them and we're building process into their business. If you go into an appointment that's already on the market with another agent and they're thinking about trying something new, this is a really useful just segue straight in to talk about a different strategy, because they're going to offer private treaty in a similar vein. They're probably going to chip the price a little bit, but actually if the vendor wants something different, this is something that differentiates you from the other 2 or 3 agents that are coming out.
I'm a firm believer when it comes, just because you're different doesn't mean that it's relevant. It's got to be different in terms of through the eyes of the beholder, i.e. the client.
Yeah.
So if you can, so you've got someone who's their first part, their beginning is telling them why they bought the house, so you're sucking them in.
Yeah.
The second bit is, I put the house on the market with Agent A and the shit hit the fan and they didn't get me and I hated it, and basically they're going in ever decreasing circle. Now, when it comes to the films and the knight in shining armour comes in, Is it always sweetness and light as soon as the knight in shining comes in and sorts it out? Or is there a battle?
There's normally some kind of battle.
And is it straight line win, or is there always dun 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 and all that? This is... No, come on.
The latter.
Yeah, of course it is. You see, if you come in there and then start saying, right, the shit's hit the fan, you've been with agent A and it's been crap and you didn't enjoy it at all, and you needed to sell but you couldn't sell. You came in and I suggested that you go down the modern auction route, or whatever the solution is, whether you say conveyancing or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then you say, but surely so the person interviewing them then drops in all the negative questions, the roadblocks.
Yeah.
But surely going to auction meant that you were going to get 20% less. And if there was is there any other negatives when it comes to auctions through the eyes of the...
Yeah, I'm going to have to move out really quickly, I'm not going to get the best price, I'm going to alienate the market.
Okay.
You can write off a list of what people perceive as concerns.
So what you do is the interviewer drops, the person who's already been through the process, drops in those questions to the protagonist, who's then, because they've already been through it, is going to defend the question back, because it's human nature.
Yeah.
But you're not saying, and therefore that is the battle, meeting all the roadblock questions.
Yeah.
And by creating that, you're actually stepping out of the valley.
Yeah, I mean, for us to make a dial and make a shift change on the dial in terms of auction transactions in the UK, we can't do it on our own, but we need some form of social proofing that says, actually, as a nation, we don't just think auctions the last ditched effort. Actually, we use it on the front foot where it's relevant, because actually, there's a big chunk of the market where it is relevant.
You said to me that that 25% of properties are in the got to sell category, not like to sell.
So non-discretionary. So we did some research last year, and it was somewhere between 20 and 25 of the circa 800 to 1 million transactions take place a year are non-discretionary. They need to sell. So you've got deceased estates where probate's granted, they want rid of the property, vacant properties people don't want to keep anymore. You've got death, divorce. Okay. These are all scenarios that drive people, but also there's life isn't all crap. You've got some good opportunities in there as well, some good drivers. So, extra kids are on the way, your wife's fallen pregnant with twins, you've got a new job, you need to move quickly, you've got together as a couple, you've got one property that's surplus to requirement, and you want it sold quickly.
Okay, so do you know how I would sell more of your product to estate agents?
Please tell me. I'm glad you're recording this, so I don't have to write it down.
This is right. Now, what I said about a few minutes ago about interviewing a vendor?
Yes.
That whole interview will last 20 minutes.
Yeah, you need it to be 60 seconds. How do you make it?
What you do is this. You listen to it without the screen on. People listen with their eyes. So you listen to it where you turn the screen away and you set the stop clock watch going. And I'm getting really micro now.
You are.
But this is important. So you press play and you get your stopwatch going on your mobile phone. And you listen to it without watching the screen. And basically you listen intently. You might have to do this 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. But whenever you hear a golden line,
write it down.
Write the time.
Yeah.
Just write the time.
Okay, then cut your snippets.
That will create your snippets, which will be probably 4 snippets of 10 seconds long. Background music. You know those boxes I do with the text at the top? Okay.
Make them for social media. It all works really well. You can get connected with it.
So what you would do is this. You would then create a suite of videos for your agents, and the videos would be identical, but what they would do is my story, because remember this is a video story for vendors. I'm going to show you how to do it for sellers for estate agents in a second. Let's say you've got an agent in Darlington and one in Durham. You would create some video stock footage that would say, my story. If you give me a call, I'll tell you how to make them square videos and texting.
You said I was going to be here pitching?
No, if you want, if you watch one of the first early prop shows, it tells you exactly how to do it for free. There you
There
go.
you go.
There you
Episode
go.
1.
So there you go. Is that all right? There's no selling here.
You told me.
I know. There's no pitching. No. It's all there for free. I don't do anything. Right, okay. What you then do is you'd say, my story of selling my Darlington home,
Yeah.
and give that to your Darlington agent. And then you take the same video and say, my story of selling my Durham home.
Yeah, and drive social proofing, which is one of the key things for us.
But what
you
you
need
do-
to change.
But it's your job to provide the videos for your clients.
Yeah.
Then your clients then chuck that out, logoed up to an
Correct.
interview, the
Yeah.
60-second one.
Yeah.
But then they click on it and then they go through to a YouTube channel,
Yeah,
which has got the full 20-minute.
I like it.
Yeah? Right, okay.
Any more tips?
Yeah, you want to how to sell more stuff to estate agents?
Go on then.
Do you have the standard roadblocks that valuers and managers say to you about auctions? There's got to be some roadblocks. Bits.
I mean, there's a really interesting one here. Oh, it doesn't work on here. It won't work in this time.
Right, so don't work in this town. What's the other ones? What do you think their fears
I haven't seen any auction properties this week. That's another good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I give you a couple of minutes, which you're not because we're filming it, you could come up with probably 2 or 3 more.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you do is this: you interview the estate agent using the same hero's journey story pattern, which is, why did you become an estate agent in the first place? What were your hopes, fears, and your dreams, your expectations? And get them to explain why they became an agent, why they loved the business so much. You then bring the story forward to the middle section, which is the shit hitting the fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is them saying that they're being beaten on fee, they're losing listings, they're not enjoying the job. How does that make you feel? And now they're digging a big hole. Okay. Then so you basically, the first part is them why they set up an agent, why they do an agent, and why they love the job, and it was happy days in 2010, 11, 12. Then you bring them forward to say that a year ago, before they get a hold of you, and then you get them to tell them about why they hate their job and it was shit and it was crap and it's horrible and they didn't like it. Then you come along in knight in shining armour as a state agency supplier.
I like this story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you basically say, so your boss suggested auctions, but surely auctions don't work in your town. Surely there's no properties going to auction. Surely you get a lower price for your agent. Surely it doesn't help you affect all the negative bits, and you get the valuer, the person who actually someone bought in it.
Challenge you back. Yeah.
It's human nature to challenge back, especially fuck off.
Estate agents.
Come on.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you get them is you get them to basically at all the roadblocks you challenge back, and then at the end you then start saying, so where are you now? Well, 20% of my bonus is auctions. How does that make you feel? How much are you earning? Or what how do vendors love you? Because again, valuers do love the love of people because they're little prima donnas, bless them. I used to be one. And then you do the same thing. You then extract the 60%, extract the little lines, drop that in, and then you basically push that on LinkedIn, on adverts, because you can target job titles. And guess what? All valuers have the same job title.
Yeah. Ding ding.
Ding ding.
Yeah.
My story of how I increased my valuers, my lister's story, how I increased my commission by 20%.
It's an interesting point that you would choose that, because that's one of the angles that we've always talked about when we pushed ourselves as a supplier and as a partner, is creating extra revenue. But now we're getting challenged back on that's the only reason why clients, estate agents would look to tie up with an auction partner.
Okay.
It's just to make more revenue.
Well,
There's a good revenue from it, but ultimately it's about giving clients choice. You're going to hear me say that a lot.
Okay, I know what you say about choice, but again, I would actually say most estate agents out there are not in it for the money. Okay, the money is a great byproduct.
Correct.
I would actually.
That's a holistic view, though, isn't it?
No, hold on. I think most estate agents are in it for the crack of doing the deal. Okay, You've got to remember that when it comes to valuers, they're very people orientated as opposed to systems orientated, and they're very outward going as opposed to inward going, which means they're outward going people. That's what makes them so good on the sofa, and that means they can convert. The downside of that personality type is, unfortunately, is that they crave recognition, and they crave everyone loving them. That's why valuers, that the emotion of losing a property is far greater than the emotion of getting one.
Yeah.
It's that fear. It's that, oh, they don't love me. That's why most valuers are absolutely atrocious at business generation.
You've given me a thought there, because one of the things with auction is we will not sell it quickly in the initial instance. We will take a little bit longer at the start to prep the legals and get it ready to rock, and then we open it and then we sell it. So we take a little bit longer at the start to make up all that time at the back because all the legals are done. It's just an interesting, you made me think whether or not that's one of the reasons why some valuers don't engage, because they're delaying the win, they're delaying that success of, we sold it within a week, slapping hands. It's an interesting thought.
It depends if again, most valuers just want the esteem of their clients to be loved. So again, if you're doing some marketing on valuers, you could do some marketing that basically said, do you want to be the most loved estate agent in your town? I know it seems daft, but it's true. That's why most valuers don't do cold calling, because they fear rejection. But then what I've also...
I saw your interview with, not cold calling, it was canvassing with Richard Pollins.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Thank you.
But so many people don't want to do it.
Isn't it?
It's horrible.
I tell you what, although I have noticed, and again one for the industry, I'm quite enjoying this chat actually. Something a bit different.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Is estate agency bosses think completely differently to valuers and negs and therefore you almost need two different types of marketing
strategies. So that is so accurate. You're quite surprised actually. You surprised me today. But it's true, so we have about 700 clients, business clients, some big corporates, some that are associated to the guild and to some of the franchise networks. We've got a lot of single business owner businesses, where you've got to be jack of all trades, you've got to be able to do everything, and they sign up to auction because I think it's a great idea, because it's more ways to win business, more ways to retain business, revenue creation, route to cash faster, and then they sign up and we train the staff and we get everybody engaged, and then that person is then on to the prepping for the VAT, prepping for this, prepping for that, and they don't make it habitual in their own business, because we can support partners, but the business owner has to drive it. There's two very different
personal responsibility.
Which is one of our challenges: education and that, creating that, bedding that into our partner's business.
Look, it's hard work running your own business.
Oh, hey man,
and it's lonely. And there's lots of distractions on the way.
I can see that's why you see the merit in the franchise networks. Before my business partner and I when we set up, we've been working together the whole way through. Having that someone to bounce off, it's invaluable. And I think it is lonely out there if you're on your own. Stress and
I think the franchise network. There's plenty of people that buy franchising thinking that they're going to
get that.
They don't. I think it comes down to accountability. Self-awareness of what you're good and bad at. Some people say that you should double down on what you're bad at. My personal opinion is
get someone who's good at doing the bit you're bad at.
Well, actually, double down at what you're really good at. And just find someone that can backfill. I'm a huge believer in getting a coach, but if you can't afford, there's plenty of people out there that won't be able to afford a coach. There's going to be people in this world that you look up to as a human being, family, friends, or business people. Just meet them for a coffee and just say, right, I'd like to meet you for a cup of coffee, half an hour every 8 weeks, and I just would like a sounding board. And I tell you here and now, if you ask it in the right way, do you know what the right way is? Most people blow smoke up the arse and then ask for the advice. It's the worst you can do to a human being. You have to do it the way around. You ask for the help first.
And then tell them I go to them. It's interesting. Yeah, we've been fortunate over the years. We've had some good non-execs. done a lot of that role for us. Bit more weathered, a bit more grey hairs, been around the block a bit longer than we have. Having that just that support to pick up the phone.
It is that accountability and awareness. Now, coming back to marketing to estate agents, what I've learnt is that you've got to decide whether your route to market is directly with the CEO boss or it's through the valuer to the boss.
Yeah, both have their strengths and their merits, yeah.
Well, if you think about it, the art with this is to create two sets of marketing. The valuer route needs two marketing. The marketing to get the valuer on board, and then almost, because the stuff that will turn a valuer on won't turn the boss on. No. So you almost then, once they've turned on, you almost then need to swap over and say, well, if you want to give it to your boss, give it this. You need this leaflet. You see, you're very much a boss mentality, aren't you? So you're more
I'm a man of the people.
Okay, so I would say, so if you are are you more of a people person or a process person? And before you answer that question, because everyone says people, if you've got a problem that needs sorting out, do you use all your guile and try and persuade them, or do you actually give them structure and process, saying this is how we're going to do it, this?
I think you've got to have a combination of both, really.
Yes, but which one's your natural?
People.
Okay. I think you're more process driven.
Don't know how we're going to find out.
You see?
Yeah, look, so process is the backbone
Of course it is.
Of the business.
You are a process person.
Yeah, maybe.
You are. You wouldn't be sat there today running a big firm like I Am Sold if you were. That's why valuers make shit branch managers, because they've got no process.
Yeah. Yeah, we've all made that mistake of saying, right, this guy's absolutely nailing it on the sales, your listings are amazing, we're going to make you a team leader or a manager, and then shit a brick.
Yeah, no. And would you say you're more an outward-going person or an inward-going sort of person?
Outward.
Okay, so you're an outward-going, process-driven person. You're very macro, not micro.
Depends on what day of the week it is, what I'm working on.
Okay. You see, most estate agency bosses are more personality type like yourself, which means they're outward-going, system-orientated people. You have to be that type of person.
You're going to do volume, you're going to do it well. You can do anything well, you need a process to make sure nothing falls through the crack.
You're very good at looking at the big picture, but you're not very good at looking at the minutiae stuff. You get bored of little things.
Yes.
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 Your biggest fear, and the biggest fear of most estate agency bosses, and this is how you
I feel
sell.
like I might cry.
I've had people crying here before. Your biggest fear,
Yes. Tell me.
is being taken advantage of by others. Generally, that is.
I don't think anyone likes that. It's certainly not
Yes.
the biggest fear. No.
No, but what you'll find with most valuers, who are outward-going but people, their biggest fear is rejection. You don't give a monkey if someone rejected you, but if someone did the dirty on you or was taking you to the cleaners.
Yeah, put it in that context, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loyalty is a big thing, isn't it? For
Very much
most
so.
people.
You see, whilst most letting agents, especially property managers or letting-only letting agents, they're very process-driven but very inward. They're very detail-orientated. They like everything to be precise and correct. And you've spotted this trait.
Yeah.
Their biggest fear is criticism.
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the best way to sell to a letting agent is to say, do you fear people criticising you, or would you like to be seen as the most detail-orientated, precise, get it 100% perfect right?
Yeah.
The best way to sell to a valuer is, do you want to be the most loved estate agent in your town, everyone loving you? And then the estate agency bosses is, does your department run you or do you run it? Are you in control? So that's
Clever angles.
there you go. I don't know. I could be talking bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah, targeting market effectively. Just can't be that wrong, can it?
But let's bring it back to auction. So that's how I would sell it.
Yeah.
You need a twin approach.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be selling anything to letting agents, or not that much.
Well, we've got some.
Okay, yeah.
You know, they'll have a property just
Okay.
suddenly becomes available, but
But I wouldn't worry. That marketing technique, no one else is going. Anyone watching this, they're going to ignore it anyway. Do you know? Honestly, I give everything away for free, and still people don't do it. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but it'd be I bore people to death why.
accountability.
Accountability,
That's
bang
the
on.
one.
It's interesting. I mean, I'm in the process of. I've lost nearly 2 stone in about 4 months.
Well done, you.
Thank you. And that's because I have a nutritionist who I'm accountable to.
Yeah.
Although, to be honest with you, this lunchtime I did have a sandwich because I had a bit of a hangover from yesterday. I thought, fuck it, I'm having that sandwich. Don't tell Sarah.
Moderation.
Yeah,
Moderation is the key.
Too right. Probably to do with the beer I had yesterday. But let's bring it back to auctions.
Yes.
They've got a bit of a stigma that it's only used. When you think auctions for fine art, you think getting maximum price, top dollar, all the things.
100%.
Well, surely auctions is just about cheap as chips, isn't it?
I mean, it's interesting. So one of the things I'll do when we're training, or we're the group of new partners that are coming on board, and I'll say, draw me a picture of an auction property, and everyone's got a mind's eye image of a really run down property. Maybe it's a 2 up, 2 down terrace with a tree growing out the gable end. That's the image that people have of an auction property. But there's a couple of points. Look at auction in other use classifications. So think about Sotheby's or Bonhams. These are fine items that are rare. They don't come to market particularly often, and there's going to be demand, and they're going to be sold under the hammer to drive the value up. It's all about maximising the exposure, generating big levels of interest. But within the property industry, people think auction, dirty word, it's for the crap that we can't sell. It's the last thing we take out of the tool bag.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not as an industry we've created that because the way the financial institutions used to treat repossessions, so you wouldn't get one to consider auction for evaluation until 90 or 100 days on the market, 120 days.
Because Homes Under the Hammer, they've not done you any favours, have they?
No, I mean, again, this is a topic that I like to debate. So you look at Homes Under the Hammer and what it is. It's an interesting TV show. Everyone's seen it. If you've had a sick day, you're going to watch it.
But H.
My mum and dad watch it every day in the hope that they see me. But the reality of it is, it's a show that is focused on the success of the buyer, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So I'm Mr. Smith. I bagged a bargain. I spent 20 quid more than I wanted to. I picked it up for 50 grand. I spent 100 pounds on the refurb, and I'm going to sell it tomorrow for 20 grand profit. Thanks very much. There's never the story of this is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They're selling their late father's property. We've managed to achieve them £10,000 over and above reserve, and they're happy walking off into the sunset. There's no two sides to it.
If only you did those videos of vendors, eh? But that's what you need to do.
It's true.
If the TV shows are not going to do it for you, you need to create those stories.
True. Absolutely. I mean, I think, there's the positioning, the messaging, the support of the agents to get those stories out. I need someone who's pretty good behind camera. Do you know anyone?
I don't know anyone, mate.
Back on topic, though. I mean, look, TV shows don't help, the industry doesn't help, we consider auction as a last-ditch effort. The reality of it is, it only suits a proportion of the market, right? We know that. I'm not here going, we're going to revolutionise the world, we're going to sell every property via auction. What I'm saying is,
well, you could do, because that's what they do in Australia.
Well, true, but, even in the biggest populous areas, that's only 30-40% that will sell at auction. But, like Melbourne, one single day, right? One day, a Saturday, they broke the record, like 1,150 on the driveway auctions on a single day. Crazy, absolutely crazy. That's a different market. Their financing is different. The chain scenario in the UK has a big impact because of society, the way it's set up. You're not going to see a sweeping change where we're all going to get bridge and finance. Oh wait, no, it's not going to happen. But there are non-discretionary. Come back to the point earlier. There's somewhere in the region of 200 to 300,000 non-discretionary sellers every year, and what I'm saying is death, divorce, life circumstances that can be good or bad, but ultimately it's about giving them the option. And if we're not giving them the option, A, we're breaching the State Agency Act, but B, comes back to the scenario where the market's changed. Consumers want choice, they want flexibility. eBay is a big thing. Mm-hmm. It's a big thing for most people, even if you're not really that tech savvy. We offer aspects that are similar to that, but it's about choice.
Is there anything else you want to say about auctions before we go? Or estate agency industry or anything?
Yeah, we've got a long way to go. We're getting there. We're making some big sweeping changes as an industry, and you know we're using technology, but it's always going to be people. It's always going to be about people. You know, you must get sick of the prop tech that appears day in, day out, day in, day out. And we've been doing this for a decade. It's
Yeah, it's not prop tech, it's technique. It's a, well, I can't remember who used the phrase. I can't claim it. It's not tech, it's technique. I love that line.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think if it's tech that helps people, cool.
Yeah.
If it's tech that gets rid of people, you got to really look at that.
I think the job of tech is to basically make our lives easier, not
Yeah.
to replace people.
Absolutely.
Good. Anything else?
Have a great day. Thanks, Chris.